You are watching Area DMG.
Welcome back to Area DMG. I'm your host, Will Wesley, the Mile High Mouth, and today we're just going to spend about maybe 10 minutes or so for ad reasons contemplating and speculating on the most recent announcement from, Capcom of all things. I was actually working on a video about how stupid Capcom is being when it comes to Nintendo Switch, where they're like, hey guys, here is this old version of, here's a barely updated version of Street Fighter 2, or rather Super Street Fighter 2, and if this doesn't sell too well, maybe we won't commit to the Nintendo Switch. And then they're all like, hey, Monster Hunter Double Cross, which would probably be like Monster Hunter Generations Deluxe in the United States. They're like, oh, I don't know if we're going to bring that over there, but let's just focus in on a Monster Hunter World for some reason, which, seriously, do they really think it's going to sell more on the Xbox One than it would on the Nintendo Switch? Even in the United States, the Xbox One is so far behind the PS4 and will soon be, it's going to take it a while for the Switch to ever get to those numbers, but the Switch is currently decimating it in Europe and Japan and all that other stuff. So seriously, it was just one of those things where Capcom was just being dumb. But they recently announced in their latest financial records that, they sold over 450,000 copies, which is actually good by Capcom standards. People forget that this is Capcom. I think they gave out 500 copies of Shantae for the Game Boy Color were made. Yeah, some pretty low numbers here. So when something sells in the hundreds of thousands and they're expecting it not to sell in the hundreds of thousands, that's a good expectation from Capcom. But it's kind of interesting the way they worded this. They're like, we're currently preparing multiple Switch version titles. And it occurred to me that Capcom, who, by the way, the footage in the background will be from Ultra Street Fighter 2, The Final Challengers. Just some random footage from that because, random footage, why not? But yeah, let's talk a little bit about what this means for the future of the Nintendo Switch and Capcom. I've kind of felt that Capcom is really just missing the ball with Nintendo stuff. Do we want an original IP from Capcom or whatnot? Personally, if I were Nintendo, I would kind of money hack Capcom a bit and be like, hey, remember Beautiful Joe? That. Just kind of bring that back. I mean, if Crash Bandicoot, who stars in one good game, I think that would be kind of Crash Bandicoot 2 was semi-good, and then 2, a really terrible first game, and just awful games all around. I mean, Crash Bandicoot is the epitome of, I would say you've got a lot of bad level design and bad game design in there, and I'm going to stick to that because I played, all these games when these came out, like Crash Bandicoot for the PlayStation, Super Mario 64 for the N64, and then Nights into Dreams for the Sega Saturn. Those were all the competing things, right? Crash Bandicoot had some pretty interesting backgrounds. At the time, we're like, wow, this is kind of colorful and detailed, but a lot of really poor decisions. You've got it's kind of like if you've ever played Pitfall or other old Atari games, which are essentially just pattern memorization. That's what Crash Bandicoot is. You find a little pattern and then you're just following a set pattern. Even though it looks like you have some agency of freedom, you're following a set pattern if you want to collect all of the boxes that are in each level. But let's get away from that and talk a little bit about Capcom. Because Capcom saying that they're like, we're preparing Switch versions. Well, that's cute. I mean, we would like original titles, Capcom, or new titles in old franchises. I mean, the whole Joy-Con thing, especially since each of these Joy-Cons has motion controls built into them, wouldn't that be kind of neat in some type of game where you're controlling, a riding mecha type thing, and you've got Mega Man in it. I mean, with Keiji Inafune out of the way doing his own terrible thing, it would be perfectly fine for Capcom to be like, hey, why don't we finally revisit Mega Man Legends 3 and finish that? That would be fantastic. I would love like Mega Man Legends 3 or something new from the Beautiful Joe franchise, but we won't probably see that. We won't see that or Dino Crisis ever again from Capcom, sadly. Actually, when they say they're doing Switch versions, to me that just means that like, oh, we're going to see a port of maybe a digital only port of Disney Afternoon Collection, or maybe Mega Man Legacy Deluxe, or the Resident Evil Revelations port that they're bringing to the Xbox One and the PS4, also making its way to the Nintendo Switch. And those are fine, but I think people are not so... I don't think people will be as keen to support those as Capcom would probably like. What we really need is some type of announcement that, yes, they will at least let Nintendo localize Monster Hunter Generations Deluxe. Personally, it gives me a little bit of hope of getting some of these ports, because I would actually like, say, a port of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Collection. Maybe do one that has, instead of just the first 3, like all 6 of the titles in the series. That would be fantastic. And since it's mostly a portable series to begin with, I mean, it's on the PC, I think, but it's also on mobile, and it's mostly on the 3DS. So it makes sense to port it to the Nintendo Switch, which functions mostly as like not just a console, but an ultra powerful portable console or portable system, a handheld, something ambulatory. But overall, my basic little wish list here is that, okay, Capcom, that's cool that you're saying this, but you need to back it up with like more than just ports. Not just, this is the Switch version of our popular franchise. How about maybe some original properties? It may be a little bit late to the game for that, but I don't think we're going to see anything original from Capcom for the Nintendo Switch until late 2018. If we see more from Capcom this year, it'll be those ports. And they haven't announced anything yet, but I'm guessing we'll probably see an announcement closer to the end of August for maybe a Resident Evil thing. Mainly, I think it'd be nice if we get that Resident Evil 2 remake, which they're changing voice actors again on that one, and that's going to be, well, we'll have to see, but we haven't really heard too much about it other than that they're changing that, and maybe we'll see that released on the Switch this Christmas. We might get Disney Afternoon Collection. I kind of really hope we do, because then they can put all the Nintendo logos back on all the boxes they scanned for it. I don't know. I was reading through the article and through the little report where they're like, yeah, we made more money on this than we thought. And then people are like, oh, Capcom has returned unto us. And I'm like, no, Capcom is saying that they set their sights kind of low for a Street Fighter game. And now that they've got that, they're like, well, maybe we'll make Switch versions of this, which means maybe we'll get a port of Marvel versus Capcom Ultimate, whatever, the new one, the new one that looks like first generation DreamWorks animation, like pre-Shrek, pretty much. Like maybe when they were working on making that one, this would be the stuff they had on their computers before they actually added textures or actual, skill to the CGI models. But yeah, I don't know. Capcom announcing this today on Twitter, no less, and then showing off their earnings reports. I should be happy that Capcom is somehow deciding they're gonna, turn this around, but I don't really think that's what's happening here. We're gonna get like 4 games between the end of this year and the end of next year, and it's gonna be like 3 ports and maybe an original title that they'll showcase sometime in E3 or something. And then they'll be like, well, I mean, yeah, initial sales were good, but our original title, because this is what happens with third parties on Nintendo systems. Mainly because, hey, if you're a third party on a Sony system or a Microsoft system, the only good thing Microsoft has is Minecraft, and you're not really competing with that. And the only good thing Sony has is nothing, and you're not competing with that. You're not that either. So, yeah, on Nintendo systems, you're competing with Nintendo's first-party franchises. And that's why a lot of third parties, if they don't go big, they end up going home. And that's happened multiple times over the years. It has nothing to do with power so much as it has to do with, well, where are you gonna put your money down for this? And I could do a rant at some point about like budgets for these games, but we'll save you that for another time. Pretty much, the news that Capcom is all like, hey, yeah, we're gonna start working on Nintendo Switch versions of games is good. I mean, I'm down for like Resident Evil Revelations again if they charge like 20 or 30 for it. If they go in there like, we want a $60. No, if they do that, no. Goodness, no. Or maybe if they like put out like a Mega Man Legacy Collection Deluxe, which would be amazing. I mean, think about it. What if they put Mega Man 1 through 11 on the same little Nintendo Switch game card? I would pre-order it, and I would buy two. One to play, and one to deliciously and slowly eat so it can be part of me forever. To absorb its nutrients. No, actually I wouldn't do that. Don't eat the game cards, kids. Anyways, yeah, what do you think that is going to happen with Capcom now saying they're going to start working on Nintendo Switch versions of games? Do you think it'll bode anything good? Do you think we'll get something like Resident Evil 7? I'm thinking we're going to get Resident Evil Revelations, Mega Man Legacy Collection, the Disney Afternoon Collection, and then maybe some kind of original title. I'm thinking we're going to get 4 titles out of this, and that's going to be it for 2017-2018. Nintendo will localize Monster Hunter Generations Deluxe themselves in early 2018, and they'll announce that after Monster Hunter Stories has been released. That's my take and what I'm thinking. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Hit that share button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you hit that subscribe button, make sure that you hit that little bell image, that notification, so that you are part of our notification squad who gets told whenever there is a brand new video or 4 on Area DMG. And until the next video comes out, you are now caught up.